Hello, everyone. We have learned a lot over the last 10 months, um, 11 months. And so the liver biopsy brought back a report that apparently there's three vascular deals that flow together. And when they do a liver biopsy, they take three sections of the liver and they cut it up into little bitty pieces and they look at these three vascular sections. One's a bile duct, one's a artery, and one's a vein. Well, my bile ducts are intact and they look good. My arteries are intact and look good. My veins aren't. They so the portal vein is what I'm missing, and there's a shunt that goes around, which is why my ammonia gets high, which is why my memory is shoddy, which is why if it gets too high, I act different. So, what they concluded was that these arteries have dried up, scabbed up, and are not there anymore. So, even if they were to do this surgery that would open that vein back up, there's nowhere for the blood to go. I guess he said it's kind of like the trunk of a tree and the branches, and even if he opened up the trunk, I still have no branches. Um, so then that is why they decided that I need a liver transplant. So then we talked to him about the oxygen level, and he said that is primarily in people who have shunts within the liver that they have oxygen problems. They do not foresee any oxygen problems with my shunt the way it is. I now have a hepatologist, which is a liver doctor, who is going to monitor my ammonia levels, my oxygen levels, and just basically how everything's going in there and kind of find out how everything works. So this is something that I was born with, but usually a child that is born with this gets real sick, and they have these veins that go in that don't go in. And well, 5, 10, 12 years ago, before they had the technology to image this stuff, the child would die due to hypertension, too much blood and nowhere to go. Well, I don't have that, and I have outlived everything that they understand or have seen before, but it has affected my quality of life some. So I still have what they call hepatic encephalopathy or something like that, which is where the ammonia affects your mind and how you think and your memory. But we were talking about transplant, and he said, the average transplant that we perform is on somebody about 60 years old. Well, if you have a transplant I'm almost 40, I'm 38. If you have a transplant now, you're going to need one another 10 to 12 years, and another one, and another one. Well, of course, during the liver transplant and everything, your quality of life decreases. But then, you probably will get better, but you will be more susceptible to the cancer and the infection, like they said before. But your the risk of mortality rises every time you get the transplant. If it was just going to be one transplant and everything would be fixed, they thought, well, that should be no problem. But if we're talking about having multiple transplants, there it becomes a mortality issue. And he said usually with my patients it's, you get a transplant or you die. Well, that's not where I'm at right now. So, and I've made it I made it the last 38 years, but I've made it the last 10 months quite healthy, taking my medicines and watching what I do, what I eat. So, even though I do need a liver transplant, we are going to put that on the back burner. I'm still in the records and everything. They didn't give up on it, but they're not going to rush into a transplant knowing that that could affect my life expectancy. So right now, we're talking about just continuing on the medicine and continuing living the way I've been living for the last 10 months and not pushing the liver transplant thing too much. So then I asked, well, how long can I live like this? And he said, quite honestly, we have not seen something like this before. This is not a case that anybody is familiar with. So we really don't know. It could be 5 years, it could be 10 years. You could live indefinitely like this, the rest of your natural life. So that was kind of a hard one to take, but I guess there is a little bit of hope in there. The Dr. Superina, the expert in this field, the expert with the Abernathy malformation, even though my doctor said that it's hard to get past his guard dogs, which would be the nurse that sloughed me off. He said that he does deal with adult patients. He has sent adult patients there. And he shared my biopsy results and my records and everything with Dr. Superina. And Dr. Superina also said that with there being no traces of veins in the liver, that any surgeries to fix the liver or see what's going on in the liver, like the venogram, would be more of a risk than a reward, because the chances of anything like that coming back positive was pretty slim. And there's a pretty good risk involved, especially if you don't have anywhere for the blood to go. The blood is going to either clot up or cause hypertension. So I guess I've kind of gotten to the point where I want to pursue what the doctors are telling me to do and continue this track that they're on. I'm also very, very tired of going back and forth and things like that. So if they feel that the liver transplant is definitely something that we're going to have to do, but not something that we're going to rush into, we're going to try to keep me around by a altered quality of life versus shortened life with better quality. Like I said, it wasn't really necessarily the news we wanted, but it is what is going to have to happen. And along the lines here, we've learned about some aneurysms and things. The one behind my eye is taken care of. I've got one in my carotid that is being monitored, and I have one in my heart that is also being monitored. The genetics that they were confused about, They still don't have a definite answer on that. They said it's a gene mutation that they've never seen before. And because of that, they are going to monitor the heart a little bit closer and monitor me a little bit closer. But the geneticists themselves don't plan to see me back for about another 5 years, perhaps when technology is a little bit more advanced and can bring back some more options or some more answers. So, as of right now, I guess I'm interesting, but I'm going to try to not be as exciting. So that's what I learned in Iowa City. I have outlived everything the doctors expected. I have been very blessed. I'm not going to say that the doctors have failed me altogether, but they certainly have not been 100%. Well, they haven't been on this the whole time, and the ability to see these things and the ability to predict is outside of their grasp right now, or has been for the last, I don't know how many years. But they're getting there, and in the meantime, God has kept me around, and so I guess all of our, we're just going to keep faith in Him and go forward as the doctors want, and that's kind of where I'm left off right now. It was kind of a decision of mortality versus quality of life, and I would rather have to record my conversations and write a lot of stuff down than only make it till I'm 50 or 60. I've, like most of you know, I've got a 4-year-old and two 12-year-olds, and I need to be around for quite a while for them. So that's what's happening. That's what's going on. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And until next time.